This is MaxPreps Friday Night Live.
Friday Night Live is on your computer screens as we prepare you for another weekend of high school football. I am Steve Montoya, and the man coming into the screen now is Mr. Chris Stonebreaker.
Hey, thank you very much. And the show always has some big and breaking news.
Yep.
And this week on the show, we might have our biggest story we've ever broken right here on Friday Night Live.
And you mean that literally.
Literally the biggest.
Yeah. But earlier in the week, we had some big news as well in the rankings, as we have a new #1 overall team in both of our polls, and that is St. Edward of Lakewood, Ohio, moving up from the 5 spot to the top spot after their overwhelming 42-0 victory over St. Joseph Regional to move to 3-0. The Eagles have outscored opponents 127-14 and looks to be perhaps the most well-balanced team in the country. Previous #1 Cedar Hill, they fell to Skyline last week.
And we're going to take a look right now at the MaxPreps Excellent 25 presented by the Army National Guard. And unlike this time last week, a lot has changed at the top. As we just mentioned, there is a new #1 team in St. Edward. But once again, one of our biggest movers of the week was Don Bosco Prep of New Jersey, jumping 10 spots to #2 after etching their most impressive single performance of the season, trouncing St. Thomas Aquinas, MaxPreps' #1 ranked team in their composite rankings at the time, 24-7. St. Thomas falls from the 3rd spot to the 16th spot. 2 new additions to the rankings are number 25 Archbishop Wood of Pennsylvania, who had their 3rd straight convincing win, beating North Penn 42-7. And number 19 Dallas Skyline, who outlasted then #1 Cedar Hill 40-30 in one of the biggest games in the country last week. The loss dropped Cedar Hill to number 21 in the rankings.
Hey Chris, another team that moved into the rankings is Chandler out Arizona. As you can see here, they will be in the MaxPreps National Game of the Week against Mountain Point. Chandler is coming off a big win against Colorado Power. Valor Christian. Chandler is led by senior QB and Arizona State-bound Bryce Perkins. Mountain Point comes in undefeated and has beaten all its opponents by at least 42 points. Mountain Point has QB Garvin Alston. He is averaging a TD pass in every 3.7 attempts. All right, from the biggest high school game to arguably the biggest college game of the weekend, and it's on CBS. For more on that, we head to the MaxPreps locker room where Zach Poff is hanging out.
Well, thanks, Steve. And there's nothing better than a good old SEC Smash Mouth battle coming up this Saturday, only on CBS, 12:30 p.m. And of course, looking towards the future for both Alabama and Florida, let's take a look at some of the top commits they have coming in the 2015 class. And of course, starting with St. Peter's Preps 5-star cornerback Minka Fitzpatrick. He's rated as the #5 corner on 24/7 Sports and is the top-rated player in the state of New Jersey. The 6'1", 200-pound St. Peter's Prep star is one of the most versatile players in the country. He's proven to be just as dangerous on the other side of the rock, teaming up with 4-star QB Brandon Wimbush, who is committed to ball for Penn State next fall. Fitzpatrick and Wimbush have been one of the best 1-2 punches in the country and are currently ranked number 12 on our Excellent 25 rankings presented by the Army National Guard. Now from a Roll Tide commit to a 2015 Gator commit, and I know Florida is chomping at the bit to get Benedictine stud athlete Jerome Baker down at the Swamp next year. The 6'2", 210-pound senior checks in as the 4th-rated athlete on 24/7's composite rankings, and just like Fitzpatrick, you can line this dude up anywhere, and he's going to ball out. He is currently the top-rated commit heading Florida's way, and he is just the kind of player Will Muschamp needs to get the Gators back to the good old days when Tim Tebow was behind center. And I know my TV will be on CBS at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time to check in on Florida and Alabama. I don't know, though. This one might be tough for Florida. They haven't won against Alabama since 2008, and it's never an easy task to win on the road in Tuscaloosa. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much, Zach. And I know the popular choice for me on Saturday is going to be watching that Florida versus Alabama game. How about yourself?
I'll probably be in a minivan heading to some soccer games, but I'll be following along on CBS Sports app.
Okay, and if you are, you're probably going to be following MaxPreps, which everyone else should be doing out there if they're online on their phone or on their desktop. And one of the things, if you are searching MaxPreps, you're going to be seeing that we have a lot of popular videos out there, and these that we're about to show you are some of the most popular from this past week. And we will begin with this little play. When Plains High of Montana scored a TD in its season opener against Shelby on September 5th, Coach Juan Lulak called for the Ninja to come from the darkness. Now watch as quarterback Ethan Stafford takes the snap, turns around, and then blindly flings the ball over his head to receiver Kyle Revere for the 2-point conversion. The Ninja. Great name for this.
I love the Ninja.
That's why it's popular.
All right, Chris, another popular one this week, and this is Terry Godwin, a Georgia commit, and he lays the crackback block on the defense there. This one has already 5,000 views in just a few days. People like to see a big hit by a Georgia commit flowing.
Everybody's going it, commit, hit, whatever else. Now Leonard Fournette, I tried.
Yeah, I tried.
Highlights have been popular for the last year and will continue to be as the St. Augustine graduate and LSU true freshman did the Heisman pose after his first touchdown at the college level against Sam Houston State. I mean, okay, in high school, he was basically the Heisman Trophy winner at the high school level, but to do it on your very first touchdown at the collegiate level might be jumping the gun a little bit, but he does have a ton of talent. I'm sure that we're all going to be seeing a lot from him at LSU in the years to come.
Yeah, and the thing about Leonard Fournette is he could have been in our plays of the week every week last year if we wanted to do that. He's just that good. And speaking of that, let's roll our top 10 plays of the week. All right, Chris, you know I like defenses. That's why we're going to start off with the hardest position in all of football. That's the defensive back, as he's going to read this to perfection. The tip, he scoops it with one hand. Then Rocky River senior Patrick Connors uses that speed. Chris, nobody's even near him. He's just that fast. That's a pick six, 98 yards there in Ohio.
Now, number 9, wide receiver Savon Rollison of Skyline High in Dallas, Texas, caught 8 passes for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns against MaxPreps Excellent 25's top-ranked Cedar Hill Longhorns. He also had a hashtag MP top play moment as he took back this 96-yard kickoff for the TD. Savon had a huge game, and this was a gigantic win for Skyline. Now moving into the MaxPreps Excellent 25.
All right, Malik Deer, he's a Mississippi State recruit. He's about to get this punt return about the 1-yard line. First, he's going to get a great block right here. Then he's going to show you why he's a Division I recruit using the stiff arm, his speed. But Chris, you and I saw this play earlier. Our favorite part might be the effort here at the end by the punt. He almost got it, but no, Malik Deer's in the house.
With 3 minutes and 42 seconds left in the game and Independence trailing Frontier 51-35, an onside kick is attempted by the Falcons, but instead of securing the ball until they hear the whistle, they touch it and let Frontier's Brady Serta pick it up and take it in for the TD return. Frontier ends up winning this game 58-50. So this is actually a very big play in the game. Right here, he touches it. If it's past 10 yards, you can pick it up, scoop, and score. But instead, no whistle. And Brady, with a heads-up play, takes it in, does his best Deshaun Jackson impersonation by let's waste a little bit of time before walking into the corner of the end zone.
Crazy. Speaking of crazy, we've seen some wild catches this season so far. Hey, it's offsides. Let's just throw it up to Austin Cruz Riley. And tipped once by the DB, twice, 3 times. Oh, there's the catch there by Cruz. He hauls it in, and he's going to juke one more time for the 57-yard TD reception. Let's see this a couple more times, Chris, as we're going to see the tip drill here. 1, 2, I got this, guys. No, actually, Caprock's receiver pulls it in, and then he's going to make a nice move there at the end for the score. A wild one there in Texas.
Wabash, Indiana defeats North Miami of Indiana, 37-31 on the final play with a 35-yard Hail Mary from Chase Dierich to Noah Cole. Now we look from the end zone point of view here. Noah Cole beats the safety, comes back to the ball, and then decides to jump right over the safety for the catch. Excitement because they, of course, beat a rival.
Yeah,
high school football.
Right. You gotta be happy. All right, Josh Sweat is the #1 recruit in all of the country because of plays like this. That is just called reading the snap count and then destroying the QB. A Jadeveon Clowney type play for the Oscar Smith defensive end. He's #1 overall in the 24/7 Sports composite rankings because of plays like this. Might want to go on 2 next time you run that play.
Yeah, let's fake him out a little bit. Now, senior receiver Kyle Sweet recorded a school record with 16 catches in Friday's 21-10 win over Dorsey at Saddleback College. But the only one making this show is the Hail Mary catch he made right before halftime on a 45-yard, 3 flies up tipped pass from quarterback KJ Costello. Now, interesting fact that we talked about, KJ Costello is a top recruit in the class of 2016. Santa Margarita actually has a famous alum that's also a quarterback in Carson Palmer. And now watch this one more time from the end zone view. Tip comes right behind it, says, "I'll take that," right before halftime. Hey, coach is gonna have some good words at half now.
Yeah, he is. Now, Chris, this is a game-winning hook and lateral in Pennsylvania. Only 6 seconds left in the game. The coach said they run this play every week just in case, and that coach is looking like a smart man right now as Souderton in Pennsylvania pulls off the win using a little trick play, and that will be Jamar White who takes the lateral into the end zone for the touchdown. What a finish there in Pennsylvania.
#1, and it comes to us from Kofi Boating of Lamar High in Arlington, Texas, as he pulls off his best Tyrone Prothrow impersonation with this 48-yard catch around and off the back of the defender. He caught the ball and the defender off guard. We need to take a look at this one more time. If you do not remember Alabama's Tyrone Prothrow catching a ball very similar to this, just let's remind you of what it looked like as Kofi Boating does his best to copy around it and the takedown by the cornerback, but he doesn't lose the ball, and he gets this week's top play of the week.
All right, now we saw Josh Sweat right there making a play in our top plays of the week, and he is just a beast. And here's a little bit more of what we're talking about from his last game where he had 4 sacks. Chris, this is the play we saw on the top plays of the week where he just yeah, there's not much words you need to say. He just smashed the quarterback.
Yeah.
But they double team him right there, and there's still no chance. This guy is one you're going to see at the next level.
Yeah, producer Chris Spurl was actually cutting up this video when he had found that one play, and I think throughout the time he had counted the 4 sacks, 2 batted, 1 touchdown catch, another interception or something. He just had stats galore, and you can tell it's pretty impressive watching him on film.
Yeah, we're going to even learn more about the nation's #1 recruit in this Get to the Game presented by American Family Insurance.
Get to the Game, presented by American Family Insurance. Josh Sweat, a 5-star defensive end from Oscar Smith High School in Chesapeake, Virginia, loves football, but knows it's not his only path in life.
Football is my favorite sport since I've been growing up, and when I see those guys play on TV, I want to grow up and be just like them. Hopefully I can go to the NFL and have a nice long career, but first I want to get my degree.
Academics in our family is the first thing that we try to stress to our children. We make a decision to go to college, not for the sport, but what can I be when I graduate.
Josh is a tremendous student. I mean, he's always been an honor roll kid, always in advanced classes. He's well-grounded, and he has a plan, and he follows that plan. He's going to do the things he has to do to be successful.
Josh's plan starts with the strong support of his family.
My parents actually play a big role, and it's always been positive with them. They're still supporting me as well as they have been in the past.
His parents done a good job raising him, and now they're focused on just helping him achieve his dream.
The way his mother and I protect Josh's dreams is we keep him in the proper environment. We make sure that you can get to where you need to be to make his dreams come true.
When I know I need to go get something done or when I need to better myself, regardless of how hard it is, when it's important and I know it'll help me, I just go ahead and do it.
For all his individual accolades, Josh has always been more concerned with those around him.
He's more inclined to worry about what happens to you than what happens to him, which is what makes him a great teammate.
After football's over, I wanted to teach history, maybe counsel. I just want to give back.
His dream is to make sure he's in a position to help less fortunate people. What we've been most proud of, how good a person our children have become, and I think that's the most important thing.
To watch more inspiring stories about these incredible athletes and their dreams, visit amfam.com/gettothegame.
Now, if you're watching those clips right there and you see in practice, it looks like he was practicing that exact sack play.
Yeah.
But no one came up to block, so he just ran right through. He didn't need to practice the hit.
No,
but
he seems like a great kid.
He seems like an awesome, awesome kid. And he's a popular choice among a lot of the recruiters out there to be an impactful player at the next level, which lets me lead into a man that always makes an impact here.
Oh.
Yeah. Mitch Stevens.
Ah, gotcha.
Yes, Mitch Stevens, how you doing? Our senior
great.
writer extraordinaire. And now we know that there's a lot of big stories that are going on, and of course we've broke 2 this past week that have had a big impact socially. So please give us a little take on these big stories that we just broke yesterday.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris. Great, that was a great transition. Thanks, man. Yeah, we had 2 female coaches elevated to coach varsity football teams, which are, historic in many ways. Out in Pickett County, a woman named Brittany Garner was hired as the first Tennessee coach first woman to ever be, given that position. And I think, I think her motivation and kind of what excites her most about this was simply, allowing her kids to play the game they love. I mean, this isn't a program at Pickett County that had much success. They've won like 3 games since 2009. She was hired actually to start the year to just be the co-coach and kind of act as an administrator, but when they let the other coach go, she just stepped up. She's already the team's softball coach. Her experience in football is really minimal. I mean, she joked that most of her experience is playing Madden on the computer, but she just genuinely loves kids, her school, and helping to shed a really, really positive light on Pickett County, and I think she'll definitely do that.
Now, Mitch, we have another female coach by the name of Ninji Martin. She was actually a professional football player, and now give us a little intake on her. Can she play the game a little bit?
Oh man, can't she ever? Coach Martin, she's been playing since 2003 for the San Diego Surge of the Women's Football Alliance. Basically professional football for women. So, and in those 11 years, she's been like the team MVP 9 times. Including last year. So she also played linebacker for the gold medal winning U.S. Team that played internationally. She coached the freshman team last year. She was elevated to the JV team, and she did a good job. She was elevated to the JV as a JV coach. And when San Diego's head coach Doug Packwood, kind of just abruptly resigned last week, the administration there at San Diego asked her to step up, and she enthusiastically accepted. She definitely knows her stuff.
Hey, Mitch, finally, before we let you go, do you think this is a trend we will continue to see at the high school level where a female is a head coach of a varsity football team or even the lower levels?
Right. Steve, I don't really know. I really can't say that. But, the fact that these 2 hirings came in the same week, at the same time, at the very same time the NFL is having so many domestic issues, I don't think it was calculated. I just think, honestly, it was kind of a sheer coincidence. But I think it's good timing. I think it's really good timing. We know that there's Amy Arnold. She coaches an 8-man football team in Arizona. And for 4 seasons, Natalie Randolph, She coached in Washington, D.C. before stepping down last year. But, if Coach Martin and Coach Garner, if they have a lot of success or, they have a positive experience, I think athletic directors across the country will just say, why not? Somebody's qualified, for sure. They should coach.
All right, that is Mitch Stevens, MaxPreps national senior writer. You can follow Mitch on Twitter and MaxPreps.com. And Chris, I was watching highlights before the show of Ninji Martin, the football coach there in San Diego. She can play.
Can't she really?
She's a good player, so she knows what she's talking about.
Right. I think that's the main gist. A coach is a coach. A coach, at the end of the day, doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. If you can get out there and coach, and then let's see how you can lead the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of followers and social interaction that's going along with this, and a lot of people are supporting the move of having these women coach at the high school level in football.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to us on social, we're going to throw up a graphic right now and break it down.
I'll take it away right here. And if you're on Twitter and you're tweeting around, make sure that you tweet at MaxPreps, or even go to at MaxPreps Video to follow us as we post all the hottest and the best high school sports video. You're on Instagram, follow us at MaxPreps, Facebook as well, MaxPreps. And if you have a play that you want us to see right here in the show on Friday Night Live, make sure that when you post on all of your social media accounts that you hashtag it MP Top Play.
All right, throughout the football season, we're going to be looking at the top toughest cities to play high school football in America, and so far we have the top 15 so far this season. Now, how we got this rating is we took the top 10 teams from each major city and their surrounding areas. We took each team's overall computer rating and got the average amongst the top 10 teams. Now, leading the way is the Los Angeles area. A total of 4 teams are currently in the top 25 in the country, including St. John Bosco at number 5 overall and Mater Dei at number 6. There's also Long Beach Poly, Chaminade. Los Angeles area is a huge area, obviously, but they have a lot of talent there in LA.
Yeah, and it is only fitting that a Texas city would crack the list, and Dallas leads all in the Lone Star State with 6 teams in the top 53 in the top 25. Allen has been a mainstay in the excellent 25 since Kyler Murray took over the QB position as a sophomore. They have won 30 games straight and right now are 3-0 on the season and ranked number 3 in the excellent 25. Number 10, DeSoto also bolsters the toughness of the city, sitting at 4-0 right now. They will be asking Jalen Nelson to fill some big shoes as Super Junior Tristan Wallace is out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken ankle.
And coming in at number 3 is the Miami area, St. Thomas Aquinas. They just fell to national power Don Bosco Prep, but they're always tough. And we know from last year, and still ranked in the top 25, is our returning national champion from our excellent 25 poll, and that's Booker T. Washington. Chris, we all know there's a ton of talent in Miami. Now, we will have a full breakdown of all top 15 cities, plus the 10 teams representing each city, and we're going to update this as the season goes on, so maybe some cities move up and down. We will see. Plus, we'll have it broken down by regions later on MaxPreps.
And that kind of information, stats, scores, rosters, and that kind of like list is something that we take a lot of pride here at MaxPreps on bringing to you guys, the fans of high school sports. Another thing that we do here is take a lot of pride in bringing to light some very good athletes and some underclassmen. One thing Steven Spiewak, our national football editor, has done over the years is bring to you 9th graders, 10th graders, and so on that should be making an impact from a very young age on varsity teams and throughout their high school career. And which leads me to showcase this week's 9th grader, which is Xavier Thomas of Wilson High in South Carolina. He is a 6'3", 235-pound freshman, and in 2 games, he's recorded 13 tackles, 1 sack, and 2 forced fumbles. He also has registered a safety. Wilson's head coach describes Thomas as a total beast, who also happens to be an excellent student enrolled in the school's international baccalaureate program. He also thinks Thomas could have a future in playing on Saturdays.
All right, Chris, the biggest story of them all, literally,
what we led up to from
Yeah.
the very beginning of the show.
Exactly, is Mr. Don Dre Harris. Let's roll the photos we have of him. He, according to the MaxPreps roster database, he is the nation's tallest defensive lineman and maybe the tallest high school football player in all of the country. He stands 7 feet tall, 380 pounds. He plays defensive tackle. He starts, according to his coach, Kristen. You and I, we would run probably between his legs if he tried to block us. We have much more photos, a video slideshow, already going viral right now on social networks through the roof. People are interested of Mr. Harris and what he may be like in the future. Maybe it's on the hardwood, maybe, you never know, maybe it's on the gridiron.
You never know. I mean, now for just vision purposes, right? I'm going to try to make a little analogy. If you were to put Darren Sproles out there in the NFL and you were to put him on the offensive side of the ball,
Gotcha.
you wouldn't even be able to see him behind the guy 10 to 15 yards up the field.
All right.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Darren Sproles.
Yeah, where are you going with that?
I'm talking about LeSean Shady McCoy would probably be the same thing, but I think for some reason Shady likes to juke a little bit more out in the open field. And this leads us to this week's Way Back When, where I'm going to send it over to Zach Poff in the locker room, where he's going to give us a little bit of a Way Back When segment on Shady McCoy.
And hey, Star, I like what you're doing right there, baby. And from one of the biggest high school football players, maybe ever, to arguably the best running back in the NFL right now, Philadelphia's LeSean McCoy, leading rusher in 2013 with over 1,600 yards rushing. And that leads us into this week's special, Way Back When. The former Harrisburg's Bishop McDevitt star finished his prep career as the 9th leading rusher in Pennsylvania state history with 6,640 yards, and he was on pace to break the state record, but he fractured his ankle in the 4th game of the season. And after his high school career, of course, Shady went on to have a legit 2-year playing career at the University of Pittsburgh after redshirting his freshman campaign, and then he was selected 53rd overall by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2009 NFL Draft. And I think 31 owners and GMs probably wish they could redo the 2009 NFL Draft, because Shady McCoy has arguably turned in to be one of the top 10 NFL players, and you see the highlights here. He was an absolute stud back in his prep days. And another former NFL running back that was a star was Ricky Watters, a guy you guys are pretty familiar with. Of course, helped win a Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers and also played with Philadelphia Eagles a little bit. And I got a feeling LeSean McCoy is going to be a stat star this week against the Washington Redskins. Back to you guys.
Hey, thanks, Zach. And if MaxPreps was around when McCoy was playing high school, I think he would have been in our national stat leaders.
I'm guaranteeing you, at least once in his career, he would have been a stat star.
So I segue that into you.
Well, we do a little segment here called Went Off, and it highlights players that went off and were stat stars during the week. We begin with Mr. Dependable Kellen Overstreet of Penny High in Missouri, who, of course, went off. This week, he showcased his receiving ability, going for 161 yards and 2 TDs to go along with 186 yards rushing and 5 TDs on the ground. If you followed our fantasy football show, he had 73 points for me this past week.
Thursday afternoons, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, our next star is Keontae Ennis, the man from Indiana, had 332 yards and 6 touchdowns on 11 carries. That's 30 yards per carry. Mr. Ennis went off.
And lastly, wide receiver Carson Williams. He's going to be on my team this upcoming week, and he is from Groover High in Texas. He had 15 catches for 355 yards and 6 TDs to be atop all of the all-stat stars this past week.
So, Chris, I know you're 0-2, though,
yes,
in the fantasy football show to our guy, Zach. It's a good show. Catch it out.
Oh, yeah.
Thursdays.
Zach's been picking some really good studs, and this week I had an injury that kind of hurt me a little bit. And he could have easily put up 40 points, and I could have taken the lead.
And we're rewarding all the coaches out there putting in stats, getting their players highlighted. That's excellent. Another thing we want to tell you about is live scoring at your games.
Live scoring at your games, and you can do it with Quick Score. That's MaxPreps' mobile scoring network, When you go to a game, before going, the first thing you should do is go to MaxPreps. The second thing you should do is probably check out the schedule to see that the time's right, and who they're playing and where it's at.
Okay.
And then if you're going to the game, sign up to Quick Score, because when you Quick Score, you get to be a fan serving fans. You give everybody out there that wants to know the score to that game and some of the live updates the ability to do so by going to MaxPreps and following along live from your updates. So go to quickscore.com, find your school, look on the schedule, and sign up for the game today.
All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend and your Friday night of football. For Zach Poff, Chris Stonebreaker, our video producers, and all of us here at MaxPreps, have a great weekend. This is Friday Night Live.
This is MaxPreps Friday Night Live.